Kelsey introduces us to her second boyfriend. Yeah, you heard that right. Joeellen and Rula have a tense sit down and an elegant Studio 54 party that you won't forget. Real Housewives of Rhode Island season 3 episode did not come to play. Let's get into it. What's up, y'all? It's your girl V with Reality Recap here for another Tea Talk session. And today we are discussing the talked about everywhere viral Real Housewives of Rhode Island. This is their first season and they are coming in hot. The latest episode is episode 3. That's what we'll be discussing today. But before we get into it, let's take care of some business. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and yes, Threads at what you see at the bottom of the screen, reality, REALITEA underscore recap for all your trending reality news and gossip. And yes, on Threads, I am live threading when the shows are on, giving you my thoughts, sometimes maybe a day later, but giving you my funny commentary. And make sure you like this video, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's coming across the bottom of the screen, Reality Recap 2876. It's in the links, it's in the bios of all of my social media platforms for you to easily access. All right, so let's get into it. At the beginning of the episode, Liz sits down with her husband, Jerry, and she's upset that Alicia asked the question in that question game they played in the episode before, saying, does she want to address the rumors about Liz and her good friend Dino? And she's upset about it because she knows these rumors are going around, but she says they're baseless rumors. She has never had a relationship, an inappropriate relationship with Dino. She does talk about how for some time her husband Jerry, he joined some type of like boating club where he was gone 3 weeks out of each month. And during that time, she says her husband told Dino, hey, look after Liz. So with her being away from her husband, who she spends majority of her time with, she spent a lot of time with Dino, hanging out, going places. And now it's these rumors, but she say that they're simply not true. And she was upset that Alicia, of all people, would bring that up because she says Alicia knows her, grew up with her. She knows the dynamic of her relationship with Dino, and she just couldn't believe that Alicia would be the one to bring it up. Now, Alicia said in that episode that she was just bringing it up for Liz to address it because other people were saying it about her. I don't know if that was necessary, or why she would do it that way instead of just having a conversation like, hey, address this because, people are talking. I don't know if she went about it the right way or if it was just being messy. But Alicia didn't like it. Player Kelsey. We see her. She introduces us to her other boyfriend, Bill. We know she has her rich man who lives with another woman in Miami for 6 months out of the year. Now, listen, here's a little bit of tea. The streets say that this is alleged, y'all, but the streets say that the other woman didn't always live in Miami, but that she lived in Rhode Island, but she moved because of the cameras and Kelsey going on to this show to kind of protect herself and her identity and her peace, probably. And she went to Miami. But the streets are a legend, and maybe we'll get more into that at the reunion because I'll be definitely putting that question up there. Or maybe if Kelsey's on Watch What Happens Live, I'll be putting that question up there. Hopefully Andy sees it, or somebody in the interview ask her about it. I ain't gonna get my hopes up because these housewives do not be wanting to interview with me. I just ain't big enough yet, but I'm working on it. But that's what the streets is saying, that this other woman didn't always live in Miami. But yeah, Kelsey introduces us to Bill. She says that Bill is not faithful. So she ain't faithful to him. So she got her rich dude that she lived with. And then she has this relationship with Bill. And she talks about how, her rich dude don't want to give her children. He has children already. She's at the age of 30 and she wants children. She wants marriage. And seemingly she wants this with Bill, but she's conflicted because Bill don't got the money. Although she say Bill is successful, Bill don't have the money that rich guy got. So if she decides to be with Bill, she's gonna have to work. I fear that Kelsey is one of the realest housewives we had in a long time, and she's telling it how it is, whether you like it or not. The girl don't want to work, but Kelsey, who do want to work? So I ain't mad at you. But she doesn't want to work, so she's thinking like, if I go ahead and be with Bill and have children with him, I'm gonna have to get a job and I'm gonna have to leave this 16,000 plus mansion, square foot mansion that I'm living in. So she's weighing her pros and cons, but this guy, Billy, it seems like her family loves him. Her mom loves him, calls him her future son-in-law. So she's kind of torn and trying to figure it out. But he's like, yeah, you want to move in with me? She's like, with you? Okay. Like she's not sure about that yet. Another question I really have for Kelsey is the rich dude against her? Like, if he doesn't want to give her the children, like, is he against her using a donor and still having the baby? Like, does he not want a baby in the house at all? Or will he allow for her to have a baby and raise it even though it's not biologically his? I wonder, is that a part of the conversation, that anything she had, if she's happy with him, which seemingly she is, she's happy with him, she's happy with the lifestyle she's living and that he's affording her. They've been together 10 years plus. Is that not an option? Is he willing to compromise at all, being that he doesn't want children? Is he willing to compromise at all? I wonder. And that's a question I have for her. So hopefully I'll be asking that on Threads or on X too, to see if it gets answered when she's on Watch What Happens Live or at the reunion. Liz visits Alicia, and I'll be honest, if I was Alicia, I would not have admit that at her grown age that all of them dolls are hers. I would have easily just said, yeah, these are my daughters. They're here because we're doing construction, so we have to move it here in the front room. I wouldn't have admitted that out loud. But I would give anything to see Alicia play with those dolls at her grown age, but I just wouldn't have admitted that. They sit down and they're talking, and we learn a little bit more about Alicia and why she's not married, although she's been engaged for what, 7, 9 years, something like that. She talks about how she's seen a lot of women in her family have failed marriages, that her father left her mother when she was younger, and she fears that um she also talks about how her fiance gave her a prenup, which is an ironclad prenup, which she would basically get no money. But I'm saying, you're not his wife now, and you are with him. So if you left today, you still wouldn't get any money. You better off. I don't know that. I should look that up though. I don't know the laws in Rhode Island about marriage. I don't know if they have a common law, um, a common marriage law, since they've been together all these years already. They have a child together. So you might be better off just going on to marry him, because it seems like she doesn't have a fallback plan and has kind of been a housewife all her life. She was married. Was she married once before? I think so. Don't quote me on that. I think she was married once before and now in this relationship. Not sure, but probably not though, since she has this fear of marriage. But they've been together for a really long time. She doesn't have a backup plan. This also explains why she's pushing Mama's Pizza. She pushing that pizza on Instagram so hard, because she talked about how she wants to kind of get her foot into that business and make it a joint business, so it isn't like, if they're not together, he takes everything from her. But again, you're not married. So if you're not marrying him and you don't want the marriage certificate, you better get something on paper to say that y'all in business, and if things go awry, you get a certain percentage. But definitely been pushing that mama's pizza online. She's been pushing it so hard. I'm ready to drive all the way to Rhode Island just to get a slice of it. It looks amazing though. I would love at this point to go to Rhode Island, and I need to know where's the seawall that Liz was talking about. We'll get to that in a minute. I need to know, I need to eat at Mama's Pizza. I need to go to Ashley Husband coffee shop. I'm ready to take a Rhode Island trip at this point. Summer's here, why not? Let's go to the beach out, out there. Um but yeah, Alicia talks about why she's not married and, not really getting anything. And Liz is listening and being supportive. But Liz didn't talk to her about being upset that she brought up Dino. And I can't understand why. Unless that was cut from the conversation, which again, I can't understand why they would cut that. They did not talk about that. And I found that very interesting. I expected that to be the reason why she went over there, but they didn't talk about that at all, which was a bit surprising. Alicia and her husband have a date night, which they only get like an hour and 30 minutes. I feel her pain when you have young children. Date nights are very far few in between unless you at that point where you can afford a nanny and babysitters and all that. And in this economy, I cannot. So they are far and few in between. But they go on a date and they sit down and he talks about how he has this coffee shop, but it's not really generating the income that he wants it to. He's spending so many hours and things keep breaking down, coffee machines, dishwashers breaking down, and he has to pay for those things. And he just feels like he's not bringing in the money he wants to support his family. Ashley has a good social media presence. They both were on The Bachelor, and she would rather him leave the coffee shop alone and come and do like family content with her. She wants to be like a content creator online. And I think that's a great lane. I don't know why he won't consider that. Hey, he wants to do his own thing. He wants to be a man and try to bring in the money. But it seems like from what I hear, Dunkin' Donuts got it on lock in Rhode Island. Like everybody loves Dunkin'. I was like, maybe he need to change his coffee shop into a Dunkin' Donuts franchise if you really want to bring in that change. But they have real conversations. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know where Alicia fits in with this cast. She is a little bit of a space cadet. She's not really in any drama. She's kind of like just there, floating, crying every time we see her. I do appreciate her vulnerability and showing, her life with her husband and the children and trying to balance it all. But let's be honest, she has a nanny 33 hours out of the week. She's not necessarily doing it on her own while he's at the coffee shop. So I think that might have fallen on deaf ears. Not everybody was too pleased about that part. Like, girl, you doing all this crying and you mean to tell me you got a nanny for 33 hours out of the week? Like, that's almost a whole work week. So everybody doesn't seem too thrilled about that. I don't know if Alicia continues with this franchise. They may not be saying much about it, like, as far as I mean the viewers, because we're so in love with the season and all the other storylines, and we're just kinda like, "Okay, we see a few minutes of Alicia, and we're letting it slide because we love the franchise so much," but I just don't know where she goes from here if she don't pick up and get a backbone and get in this drama. Um Liz throws a Studio 54 party because her husband Jerry is turning 54. Nobody's fashion, I ain't gonna say nobody's fashion killed it for me, but Rosie looked a mess. I don't know why she didn't keep on the outfit she had. She said it didn't fit right or whatever because she was bloated from that time of the month. But the pants that she put on was so tight. I don't think she could sit down that night. That top with the fuzzy on it, she looked a mess. But Dino shows up to the party and everybody seems surprised by it given these rumors going on. But I think Liz is inviting him to the party because she feels like she has nothing to hide. Now I will tell you, I got a little bit of tea on this. I'm not going to tell you where this came from, but from what I hear, Dino has a few legal cases. Dino gives to me what Danny gave to Danielle at Real Housewives of New Jersey when Danny showed up and was kind of protecting her after her whole hair pull situation and stuff, but he had a bit of a checkered past. Not that Liz needs protection, but he gives those same vibes like a friend of that caliber. So it says that Dino has some legal issues going on, that in Rhode Island in the newspapers, even though it seems to be like clickbait or just headlines that they come up with, that Liz and Jerry are mentioned in some of his cases, but they don't have any charges against him, and that the call logs of Dino are being questioned in some of these legal obligations or whatever you want to call it, legal issues he has going on, where they cite that Dino and Liz call each other over 400 times in a month. So I don't know. You take from that what you think, if you think something's really going on, or they're just best friends, you know. That's what I think. But it seems like Dino is a little bit of a black sheep out there in Rhode Island. So people may have been shocked that he was there during filming with the cameras up when he has all these legal troubles. I'll dig a little bit more into that to find out what the legal troubles are, but that's just some news I heard, alleged news from people that actually live in Rhode Island. Joeellen shows up to the party, Rula's at the party, and Joeellen wants to sit down with Rula. You know, Joeellen already pumped her husband up in the episode, not the first episode, but the episode before this. Like, yeah, we're gonna have a sit down. I want you to handle her husband. You know, if you do it, you're gonna get some of that. So handle your business. And he seemed like he is in love with Joeellen. He was like, yeah, I keep that in mind. Like he ready to go off on little Brian. So they sit down and Rula's husband, Brian, he looks scared the entire episode. From the time he showed up on screen, he looks nervous. He looks guilty of an affair. And they sit down. And Joellen's husband, rightfully so, he like, look, you trying to take food out of my kid's mouth. Like, why? If you had a problem with whatever Joellen said, because apparently Joellen knows a lot about this alleged affair, she had pictures because the mistress posted pictures on her social media. Rula called Joellen though, asking for these pictures, and Joellen gave it to her. And then now Rula feels like, oh, Joellen didn't have my best interest at heart. She was just looking to spread gossip and rumors. It ain't a rumor, it's given, it's true. Um, and then tried to paint Joellen as a bad person. But my thing is, Joellen didn't come on our screens trying to tell us about this affair. She hadn't even mentioned it. It was Rula that came on upset that Liz and Kelsey went to Joellen's 4th of July party because of this situation. We really wouldn't have known about it. Now, I don't know if Joellen had plans to tell us about it later on, but she had not said anything about it. You came and told this, right? So I don't see Joellen as the bad guy here. You told us about that. And then, they want to sit down because apparently Brian, which was very confusing, the way Joellen knows it is that they called her HR. They wrote an email or a letter complaining about Joellen and wanting to, like, seemingly trying to get her fired from her job. Brian tried to tell his side of the story now that he got, Joellen's husband with his big self and that gold sequence jacket in his face, like, yo, what is you doing? You trying to take money out of my pocket, out of my food, out of my kid's mouth? If you had a problem, you could have called me. Why would you go to her job? Why would you involve her job? Which is actually true. Why would you do that? Like you don't want them taking foot clients from you, Mr. Podiatrist. So why would you do that? And his story wasn't making no sense. He like, well, I'm friends with a guy that runs the company, and we were talking, and we got in, we talked about what Joellen said, and he was like, I'll send a complaint right now. So you did. However it came about, you saying you didn't send an email or you didn't call to complain, you talked to this man and you knew that was happening, you allowed it instead of going to Joellen's husband. Because Joellen's husband, like, if you had an issue, you could have came to me. I would have talked to her about it, piped it down, but you ain't have to go that route. And I agree with Joellen and Joellen's husband. Um, Ruler was trying to stick up for him and give him the floor, like tell him that there's no affair going on. And he's just like, I mean, people do things that they shouldn't do, but I'm not discussing it. You have the floor to clear your name, and that's all you got to say. Yeah, it's giving this rumor is definitely true, if you ask me. And he got Ruler sitting there looking like a fool. He didn't even say, like, listen, I made a mistake in the past. Like, go along with her story. You could at least cooperate with her story that she's telling people that you did have an affair, but it's over. And Ruler's like, he's not having an affair right now. Joellen's like, I swear on my kids, he is. Now, I don't think Joellen go around here swearing on her kids on every little thing, on any lies. She knows something because I hear allegedly the mistress lives in Joellen's neighborhood. So I don't even think that Ruler's little comment of I wouldn't live in what is it? Is it Caston? Cranston? I wouldn't live in Cranston had anything really like she don't like Joellen, but I think it also was a dig at this woman who allegedly lives in Joellen's neighborhood. Um but he says nothing. Brian doesn't say anything. He doesn't try to clear his name. He doesn't go along with Ruler's story. He doesn't even say, hey, yeah, I made this mistake, but I love my wife. We're working it out. And we move on for that. And Joellen and her husband was making it really clear. I don't really care about these women. I care about the fact that you called my wife's job. Don't let it happen again. So Liz comes in and breaks up the conversation saying, hey, this is not the place. We're having a birthday party. Come enjoy it. Let's do this another time. And Rula and her husband leave. And that was the most awkward car ride, I swear. I swear, child. That was the most awkward car ride to watch where he's sitting way over here, she's sitting over there, and he's just sitting there like, and Rue was telling him, like, I understand you don't want to be confrontational, but do you see how Joellen's husband was sticking up for her? I would expect that from you. Like, why didn't you have my back? Why didn't you talk about how this affair is not going on? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, just my thoughts, it's still going on. A little bit more tea. This woman, I found the mistress. All of the internet found the mistress. I ain't gonna act like I'm Christopher Columbus. All of the internet found the mistress, and she has been posting subliminal messages. She has been tagging Bravo in her posts. She's hashtagging RHORI on her posts, and apparently the news broke today. It's on my social media that Brian has filed a lawsuit against the alleged mistress for a breach of an NDA. So apparently, she signed an NDA, yet she's still doing these posts and these subliminal post captions. And she even alleged that they were in a relationship for 2.5 years and a now deleted post. This woman has some type of business tied to him where let me look at it again because I don't want to get it wrong, but it seems like he's operating his podiatry business out of a med spa that's tied to this alleged mistress. So there's some business ties there. Says the mistress was a co-owner or had financial interest at Rula husband's med spa. There's a legal filing from this breach of contract. So I don't know if part of her NDA that she signed, being in business in this med spa, she does seem to do facials or makes serums or, facial products. And they were in business together. So I don't know if she signed an NDA as a part of that, but he's now suing her for being in breach of contract of this NDA. So it's definitely given something happen. How long it happened for or when it happens, I don't know. That's yet to be determined. But did I reach out to the mistress trying to get her to do an interview? Absolutely, I did. We'll see if I hear back from her. I told y'all, I'm not that big yet, but I be trying to get the interviews. I at least try. I show up and I try. So eventually it'll happen to me when I just see all of these housewives coming to me to give me the exclusive information. So my lips to God's ears. All right. But Yeah, it was just an awkward car ride home, and he really had nothing to say. He said he's not speaking on it. He has nothing to say. The women already saying everything. It's not just the women, the whole neighborhood, the whole Rhode Island talking about it. So clear your name or say what it is, or at least support your wife. Um, we then see Liz have a conversation with Kelsey, and she's saying how she wants to go to the seawall. Where's the seawall? Y'all tell me. I went to look it up. There's a few seawalls out there in Rhode Island, but what's the sea hall? Is it a hot spot? Is it a restaurant? Because I'm intrigued now. But she wanted to go to the seawall. You can tell Liz had a few drinks. But she wanted to go to the seawall with her husband and Dino. And in my opinion, a part of why Liz wanted to do that, because she felt like that would dispel the rumors that she's having an affair with Dino if they're all out together. Or it could backfire, Liz, and they could just think that you are hiding out in the open. You know what I mean? But that's what it was given for me, that she wanted to hang out and have a good time and continue the party and make it seem like everything's hunky dory. Hey, Kathy. But Kelsey says to her very lightly, she had the mic on. It was a little bit of a hot mic moment, but she was like, "You sure you want to do that with the rumors that are going on?" And Liz kind of flew off the handle, like, "Forget you, Kelsey. I can't believe you said that." She storms upstairs. What is that poster on Liz's door saying "Do not enter" and it's a cat with a wig on? What was that about? Please explain that to me. I didn't understand it. What this poster was about. I don't know if it was just up there for the party for people not to enter. This is a daily sign that she has on her wall, but she storms up the stairs. Kelsey goes behind her and she's like, I wasn't saying anything bad. I was just saying, just is it a good idea? I just think they both had too many drinks and it was emotions and misunderstandings. Alicia tries to go upstairs to see what's going on, and Kelsey's like, "We're not gonna make this a thing. We're having a conversation. I want to talk to her. You leave." And Liz is not hearing it. Again, she just had one too many drinks, and Kelsey leaves out. She's like hiding her face from the camera. This reality TV, girl. This is not the paparazzi. You cannot hide from the cameras. You're still mic'd up. But we'll see what happens there. I think once they sober up, they'll be able to have a clear-headed conversation. But Studio 54 party was amazing. The sit down was intense. I enjoyed the episode. Yeah. You know all the tea I know on Real Housewives of Rhode Island. And those are my thoughts. Now, before I get out of here, again, let's take care of business one more time. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads, which you see here at the bottom of the screen. Reality. That's REALITEA_recap. Follow me there and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's coming across the screen. Reality Recap 2876. And set your alerts. Like this video so you don't miss any of my tea talks. Now, as I always say before I end my tea talks, reality TV stars are humans too. Let's not forget that. It's your girl V with Reality Recap, and y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. I'll be back later this week, hopefully by tomorrow, with your recaps of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop Miami and the Valley. Peace.